everything. Maybe.
We're up on everything, maybe.
Maybe.
Definitely maybe.
All my notifications here. Hey, it says
it's objectively subjective.
Instagrams. We are on YouTube.
All right. YouTube's, Instagrams, and Facebooks.
Yep.
What about TikTok? We're not doing TikTok?
Nope.
Guys, I love TikTok. Yeah, we would break the format, unfortunately. You could do you could clip out on TikTok though. Have we tried doing that? Do the TikTok clip project? It's really hard to say.
You do a joke.
Okay.
Dad joke?
I can do dad jokes.
Is there any other kind?
Everything I say is a dad joke. What are you talking about? All right, welcome everybody. We're on the 53rd episode of the 0-4 Motorsport live chat. Thank you for joining us. I think people are still rolling in, but as always, this is a Q&A session. You guys ask us questions, and we give our answers. Oh yeah, that'd be so popular.
The Crackle Box.
Yeah, TikTok pops and bangs. They'd create like a whole new category just for us. So feel free to ask away anything you'd like to know, any controversies you'd like us to weigh in on. If you have obviously questions about our products and services, about our opinions on anything, about us individually. I wanted to start with a quick mention that I'm wearing this shirt. I had this embroidered like 4 years ago, and it now fits me again because I gained like a bunch of weight. So
wait, it fits you because you gained weight, because that weight went away?
No, it stopped fitting me. It actually never really fit. I just was squeezed into it and it was really tight here, and then about 6 months later I couldn't even button it up, and so I just hung it.
It was a goals shirt.
And I was kind of going through my closet this weekend, like I need to get rid of some of these old shirts, and I put it on and it fits great. So I just wanted to throw this out there. I know a lot of you guys don't need to lose weight, but as you get older, it gets harder. You just have to keep eating less and less, or exercising more, to kind of just keep your weight the same. And so what I did is I started cutting everything I ate in half. So if I got a Chipotle burrito, I just cut it in half, and either throw that away, or if you think you can save it and not eat it, then save it for tomorrow. And then I cut that in half. So now for lunch I would just have like 1/4 of a Chipotle burrito, or maybe a third, depending on who makes it. And so I've been eating whatever I want. I don't have to like watch my carbs or count calories or anything. I just eat a lot less, and it's really worked great. So if you guys are trying to lose some weight, or you've been wanting to, I recommend just eating a lot less. And the first week's kind of tough, but your stomach shrinks. And now I couldn't even eat like what I used to eat 2 months ago in one meal. I couldn't even eat that if I tried. So, you know what? And that makes your car lighter. I'm now carrying 20 pounds of sprung weight less on track.
And miles per gallon. Like there's calculators out there for people that have gone as far as like measuring how much your mustache weighs and how it impacts your
well, the aerodynamic effect of mustache.
Never mind the top down.
It's a lot of drag. But no, everything feels better. It's healthier. I just had a physical. My cholesterol's way down. My blood pressure dropped.
Congrats.
I don't want to die of a heart attack in 10 years. And so, these are good decisions to make. But this is a very sustainable long-term diet. You can go to any restaurant. You can have a donut. You just have to cut it in 6 pieces and eat one of the pieces, and then throw the rest away. And I know, I have an issue with wasting food. I don't like to waste food, but honestly, I'd rather waste food than be 20 pounds heavier than I need. So I've gotten used to throwing things away if I don't need it or whatever. Restaurants just serve way too much food these days. Like, yeah,
there's a clip that keeps popping up on my YouTube. It's a guy that compares like European portions of the same from like chain restaurants even.
Mm-hmm.
European portions to American portions.
Yeah, don't let Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or Chipotle determine what the right amount of food is for you to eat, because I guarantee you they're going to give you way too much. So that's really the issue. All right. So let's jump into some questions here.
And let's not forget again, that will make your car faster. I mean,
it's all about speed, which
driver mods. We keep talking about driver mods.
That's the ultimate driver mod, is just dropping weight. I mean, I don't know. Like you know, I've been doing weights and stuff. I have a 20-pound weight. It's friggin'. I was carrying that around right here. So that's also sitting in your car with you.
Oh, here we go. Yeah, I lost weight to fit in my Corbeau racing seat.
Yeah, that's another thing too. So, but one thing that really helped me is years ago I committed that I'm never buying bigger clothes than what I'm wearing now. And so I had to stop wearing this shirt, but I had other shirts that still fit, but they were way too tight. So I think that's a good one. Like I'm a 34 waist. I'm never gonna buy a 36. So I just have to figure it out if I get to that point. All right, 17 VW GTI SE. While maintaining stock suspension height, what are the best options for controlling body roll without serious compromise on rise quality?
Cars.
I mean, the only option is really a sway bar. I mean, you can also play with your camber, but I guess I'd ask why you want to stay stock suspension if you have adverse road conditions and you need more clearance, then that's understandable. Generally, our springs for something like the GTI would be very livable. They're designed not to lower the car too much. They will still provide plenty of clearance for pretty extreme road conditions, but it will be about an inch lower than stock, inch and a half lower. But if you want to just put our sway bars on there, you will notice an immediate improvement. And it will be virtually no compromise. There'll be no change in ride quality. Your clearance won't change, but it almost sounds like you're more concerned about ride quality or comfort than anything. And I would also say that our springs are still quite comfortable, specifically our GTI application. But all of our springs are designed to be comfortable.
Yeah.
But our GTI application, we have an in-house Mark 7 that we just put all our stuff on it. And one day I was heading into work, and there's a road I go on, and the right lane's just trashed from the semis and stuff. Just it's all riddled with potholes. And I did 80 right through that lane, just slamming every pothole and just testing our ZTF wheels and everything on the car. And it was surprisingly comfortable, you know, with our springs and everything. So, and of course, everything held up beautifully. But yeah, if you want, feel free to respond, and we can follow up to just get a better idea of what you're looking for. Yep. How's Project S4.0T coming along? So I came in yesterday on Sunday, and I like to come in every once in a while when nobody's here, and I can just walk around and look at stuff, and it's quiet and nice. And I saw it for the first time. The engine is mounted. Yep, it freaking looks like it belongs there. It's shocking how well everything fits and lines up. So
there's some clearancing needed on the front floor and some other minor stuff. I mean, compared to like
it wasn't
engine swaps of yesteryear,
yeah.
This thing is
oh my gosh,
it's pretty straightforward. I went through, was sorting out the wiring last week. It's really minimal to get that in there and working. So we're doing pretty well with that. So yeah, we're making progress on it.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is to get it running soon. So
yeah, we just got some other little choices we're working on right now. Which radiator do we want to run, S4 versus S6? Just to make sure, you know, the hose outlets are where, you know, the easiest for us to work with. So.
But motors mounted, transmissions and drivetrain is complete.
Yep.
Just the wiring and some spark and fuel.
Yep. Just that.
Yeah, that's all.
That's all. Just the things to make a motor run.
Can you guys put up a B9 S4 tune pre-order so we can feel a tiny bit closer? I'd love to, but you know, we're not going to do that. You know, I don't know. It's like telling your girlfriend you love her before you really love her. You know, you might change your mind in the next 2 weeks. So why don't you just wait till you're actually in love?
I missed that question. This was B9.
A B9 pre-order, yeah. So you know, we're imminently going to release it. We have multiple cars driving on it. We've been testing it extensively. We're now able to flash it through our server. So we're getting really close. How about this? Next best thing would be, how about we put together a pre-order interest list?
Oh yeah, if you're interested,
so they can at least sign up and get on a list to be notified the day it's available.
Yeah, we don't want to charge you or set any expectations
Yeah.
you can't hit or take anybody's money before.
But
we
you
give
could
it
do
to
a
them.
verbal pre-order
Yeah.
and we'll put your name down and then we'll contact you when we release it and you can.
Yeah, if you want to be first in line
Yeah.
to know when it's ready, we can get you on the list.
I mean, we could do. The problem is like remember when Tesla released that Cybertruck like 3 years ago and they collected like $100 from like 50 million people. There's still no Cybertruck. I don't know how many of those people have asked for their money back.
Have you seen the new one? Their new the new Sportster, I think, whatever the Roadster, the new Roadster. It's like a $50,000 deposit, and then you have to pay the remaining $250,000 by wire in the next 10.
No, that was like a year or two ago.
No, this is just
Remember that like the crazy like the Roadster sports car thing? There was a pre-order.
yeah. No, this is something that came
It was a ridiculous
It's just
amount of
like,
money to get in on it.
Okay.
So yeah, we're not gonna do that, and I'm probably not gonna go on Saturday Night Live either and talk shit about Bitcoin, but we can at least get that list going. Did you guys see Saturday Night Live with Elon?
Yeah.
And the skit about the Dogecoin, and they're just like, okay, but what is it? And then he'd explain, and they're like, okay,
But
so what is it again? Like,
Are we accepting Doge on our website? We pump up
Yeah.
right now.
yeah, send us all the Doge, whatever it is. I don't even know what it is. What sort of features are you looking to have on your B9 3.0T tune that will set you apart from APR and EPL?
I mean, the biggest feature we always add is just going to be
It's good.
Yeah, it's going to be a really solid fundamental bass tune. Just
Yeah.
we're taking the time, we're ironing out everything we can. We're trying to hit every corner of the tune that you might hit on on track on the street.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're going to have the most refined tune out of the box ready to go. We are going to be adding more features to it. That's coming along with all of our other products.
Yeah.
You'll get your launch control stuff. We're looking at adding, flex fuel support. So there's a number of things down the road that we will be working on implementing. But
Yeah.
off the bat, we don't want to spend our time with all these bells and whistles if the bass tune isn't
Right.
rock solid.
Yeah, and to add to what Nate said, we will continue to develop these tunes.
Yeah, we're not done with these,
And-
just because we released it.
Yeah. I suspect EPL is probably continuing to develop it, but APR they tend to put a tune out and then it's kind of what you get, and then they might do an update someday, they may not. But as we've shown with our B8 S4 tuning and the rest of our tuning, that we're constantly improving and adding features, especially when these are tunes that you guys like and are using, then we speak directly to you, we take your feedback, and we make those changes. So what we will release initially will be a relatively straightforward, simple, but extremely well engineered and tested file. And then we will continue to add features to that over time. And if you buy our stage 1 or stage 2, you'll get lifetime upgrades after that. You won't have to pay for those.
And it's not just minor updates. I mean, we're talking like with the B8 generation, it was full new software suites, new tunes, new features,
Launch control,
more
two-step.
octanes, whatever we feel we can get in there, that you're going to get it.
Yeah. So, but I think you're in this question. You're kind of talking about features, and I made a joke about our tune will be good. But what you'll actually be driving aren't features. It's all of the calibration inside the ECU that, frankly, you and other people take for granted is what makes this tune enjoyable and rewarding and exhilarating on a day-to-day basis. Every time you push down throttle or you leave a stoplight or you slow down to go around a corner, those aren't features. That's the tuning working and being properly calibrated. And so that's what we're always committed to. And right now we have Nate and Eric, one of our other software calibrators, are both working on this tune and optimizing it. We've track tested it twice in the last month. I've personally road tested it for hundreds of miles, and I will continue to.
Yep.
And we have multiple different staff here, including a millennial, testing it, which millennials can be pretty picky. He said it hurt his feelings that we were the way the boost came on. So we've even made emotional adjustments to the software. So
Yeah, we're trying to set it so the climate
You're
control can't
I see
go
you.
75 degrees. That's one of the requirements, I think.
what is
The
that?
climate control limited to the lowest it can go is like 75 degrees, and
Yeah. So
gotta keep them warm.
the millennial asked for this feature to not have to put a water bottle in the steering wheel for the lane control,
Oh, yeah.
but
No, don't.
legal said no. All right. So yeah. So we're here. We're committed. We're adding features, but it's going to be a really good tune. It's going to be safe, optimized. It's going to make the most power it can safely and with great drivability.
Comment, you a millennial?
Hey, I mean, we also did hot weather testing, Death Valley.
We did.
You got to get uncomfortable.
We had an old dude driving it on track pass.
We
Yeah.
put a
Yeah, that old guy. The old guy, man, he was thrashing. Can you imagine getting passed and then on top by an old guy? So humiliating.
It is unfortunate that you have to explain that they're not features. That's just the thing.
I mean, it's understandable. It's
It is. People like to read. We struggle with this. People like to read a huge feature list and think that that's they're getting more value because they have more
Yeah.
line items on this list.
you know what it's like. It's like you go to two different restaurants and you order a cheeseburger from each restaurant. They both have cheese and mayonnaise and mustard and lettuce and tomato. They both have that, but both those hamburgers are not going to taste the same, and that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about the features, the list. I'm talking about how does it taste? What beef is being used? What's the fat content? Is it old wilty lettuce or is it fresh and crispy? Has the bun been toasted or not? And those are the little things that make a difference between two things that look the same on paper. So you guys can't lose sight of 99% of what you're evaluating isn't features. It's the tune, and that's what really counts. But people buy features. It's kind of our dilemma a lot of times, and so we end up adding extra bells and whistles, even though they don't really add to the tune or the driving experience. But people buy into it, so we have to recognize that. What's the max torque rate for the B9 S4? I heard it's around 550 foot-pounds.
I mean,
At the engine?
yeah,
maybe?
you're right.
Yeah.
We got to talk. We got to kind of qualify
Yeah.
that a little bit.
Crank.
Generally, I mean, you can kind of take as a rule of thumb for a lot of Volkswagen drivers, about 100 foot-pounds per rod kind of is where things have been recently.
Yeah.
And that so far seems to be holding true. With the B8 and B9.
As far as does the motor blow up at 550 foot-pounds? I don't
Right.
think we know that.
No, I mean,
But I
that's,
think
that's
that-
something that we'll be pushing further and further as time goes.
Yeah. But like Nate says, what we see generally is if you want a rule of thumb, rule of thumbs are pretty much worthless, but they kind of like help you grapple a little bit as a starting point. Typically 100 foot-pounds per rod.
Yeah.
Now, obviously,
That's-
2.0
and
Ts
that's at the
can get
moment.
above that. And, DAZs are,
Yeah, those still holding true to about that.
yeah.
So it's
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
yeah.
those are right around 600.
Yep.
But yeah, it's just a rule of thumb. So we don't know what the limit is yet. We're still on stage 1, stage 2 type tuning, but we will find it eventually, and we will get closer to it.
Yeah.
We did find it for the Daza, and so we know what that is. Do you plan on offering upgraded turbo options for the B9 S4 platform? Do you see this platform surpassing 600 horsepower on stock turbos?
The stock turbo.
Yeah, stock turbo, no.
Well, I don't know. Maybe he's saying turbos. Maybe he's talking the RS as well. But if we keep it just the
Well, he said B9 S4.
B9 platform.
B9 S4.
Oh, somebody.
Okay, somebody added it.
Played. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think the RS6 could get up there.
RS4, RS5.
RS5, sorry. The S4, no. The S4 has about a 450 horsepower turbo. That's all it's ever going to do with that turbo. Now, it's nice. The car feels great with the stock turbo optimized, like we're doing. It's actually really quick. But we are currently we have a pure 750 that we have here or on order. It's on its way. That we will be doing a tune for that.
Yep.
We will continue to explore other options. We're going to be working with another customer who has peer turbos on his RS5.
We have a TT 710 way for the S4.
Oh, we do.
Yep.
Oh, okay. And we have a TTE 710. So, yes, So here's the deal with the B9 S4. Stage 1, Stage 2. It'll be a fun little, quick boost in power.
It's dramatic. I mean, you get a pretty fat mid-range increase.
Yeah, but I mean, it'll be interesting to see, but it's not necessarily it's a B8 S4 power levels without changing the turbo.
Not stage 2 plus.
Not fully strung up. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
Not without changing hardware.
Because you can keep the stock supercharger and you get to over 500 horsepower, but you're not going to do that on the S4. Right. So, hybrid turbos, stage 3 type stuff will be very popular for the B9 platform, and we're excited about that. It's not like the TT. I mean, in my opinion, TTRS or the RS3 is an amazing car with the stock turbo. It's pretty much all the power most people would need.
Yes.
And like on track, you'd be hard pressed to find a faster turbo, and certainly, fast road drive
stuff. Yeah, the TTRS is just phenomenal.
A big, these big hybrids and stuff, and the big full frame stuff is not going to be faster spooling and more responsive than the stock turbo. And you can still get to like 550, with bolt-ons on the stock turbo, and it's fucking fast. So, but the B9 S4 is that it's a totally different situation, and there will be lots of turbo upgrading going on those cars. So thankfully, it's sitting right there on the top.
It's a nice spot for you to change.
You can grab a beer, have some of your friends over, and you guys can take some nuts off and put it all back together. So no dropping motors and things like that, like with the B5 S4. I have a 2010 S5 Cabrio, wondering why the Billet X-Brace for the B8 works for coupes, but not for cabrios. There's a Cabrio additional bracing. Yeah, the Cabrio, if you go underneath it, Audi has bolted on all kinds of other crap.
You've got like shelf straps going everywhere and cross bracing, and there's a lot of stuff under there that isn't on any of the chassis.
Trying to stiffen that thing up. I'll be honest with you, Cabrios are great for blowing wind in your hair, but just about any convertible, and unless you're talking like some of the hypercar stuff with like carbon fiber monocoupes, those cars, there's no point stiffening up the subframe because the entire car is a noodle. It's flexing. You probably feel it when you're driving down the road. You can kind of feel the back end and front end are like doing different things. So cabrios and convertibles, they're just not necessarily performance cars. I've never driven a convertible R8. Again, it's a hypercar and it's a supercar, and
they still have a ton of additional bracing in those.
They do, but they may have actually like stiffened it sufficiently. But just about every convertible I've ever driven, I feel like
they're really hard. I mean, just look at a side profile of the car and count the triangles you can find, because the triangle is going to be a self-stabilizing, very solid structure, and they just don't exist on the cabrios. You've got two parallel lines, and that's about all you can draw. And you've got doors that open, so you really only have basically your strip of floor pan at the bottom.
Imagine like building a bridge without any trussing and just making it a flat road and trying to stiffen that up. So, even if we did make a break, I'd honestly feel disingenuous releasing an X-Brace for a cabrio, because that's the least
targeting a cabrio.
That's the least.
If it happened to fit, that's just a freebie that comes along with the OEM catalog. But to specifically provide Z-braces for a cabrio, I don't think we'd ever do that.
But there's nothing that we sell that can let that sun shine on your face on a sunny day.
We can't help you there. You got all you can get there.
We can't do that. So you have that. You should enjoy it. What is the biggest roadblock you've run into with the engine tune for the B9 S4 as far as getting power reliably? I'd say none. I mean, there's been calibration.
Yeah, there's some calibration stuff where the OEM strategy was interesting, to say the least, that we're working around, and there's a number of limits and things that had to be remapped.
But those are like literally roadblocks. Those aren't necessarily technical challenges. That's like Audi just it's Bosch keeping us out of the ECU.
Right. There's all that everybody.
They're literally roadblocks.
Yes.
But I'd say from a technical standpoint, other than overcoming the inherent challenges that are in encrypted,
right, a
hexadecimal code and an
yeah.
ECU, a protected, with NSA level security on it. We have a level of expertise that hasn't really been challenging as far as like the tuning and calibration.
Yeah,
It's
it's
just been
just
finding the right map and making those changes.
spending the time on it
Yeah.
is what that's the roadblock. Is we got to strike that balance of how much time can we spend to get this calibration where we want it versus we have to release it at some point. We can massage the thing ad nauseum, but we want to get it in your hands once it's still.
But I've driven it and it felt OEM to me.
Yep,
I couldn't find any part of the power band that wasn't smooth and drove like a factory car, except it was just a lot faster and a lot more power.
And it's every part of the calibration too. We're not talking about just being able to make power. It's also rethinking the thermal management, the fan controls, the how do all the systems interact, and how do you manage the extra heat that you're making with
that's what we've been doing at the racetrack. Is you can't really get the car very hot on the road.
Not compared to a truck.
Unless you wanted to like get arrested. So you go on track and you do a couple laps and everything's really hot. And then you can see like, is the ECU making these changes based on the thermal management? And it is, all
and we've
all
made
in
adjustments
OEM.
based on that. It's you can obviously do your best guess, but you can't get the data until you actually go out and
it's all exactly as the OEM would do, which a lot of aftermarket tuners, they just disable that stuff because it gets too complicated to build that all in. But what we're ensuring is that all the factory thermal management and safety features continue to work as intended. And those have to be scaled up, right? The factory ECU would normally freak out if it saw those type of numbers.
Yeah, well, it is.
So you have to go in and recalibrate all the safety systems.
The OEM strategies and the OEM control ranges and expectations are far lower than what we're working in, because we're not falsifying any of the torque output. We're correctly modeling the variables within the ECU. So everything has to be mapped and accounted for.
Yeah, it's like kind of like if you're a babysitter and your safety perspective is for a 2-year-old, and then the 2-year-old turns 6, but you're still treating the 6-year-old like a 2-year-old. That's like what the factory ECU does. So when we have to like go reprogram the factory ECU and say, no, this kid's now 6, they can do a lot of those things. There's still some things they can't do, but now the ECU is continuing to manage the safety of the engine, but with programmed with the higher output and performance that we've calibrated in it. What a lot of people would do is a lot of tuners would just say, the kid's now 6, no babysitter. It's too much work. We can't retrain the babysitter. So the kid now just goes outside alone. And it's still a 6-year-old kid. It's not safe, right? They need to be watched. We've recalibrated the engine and actually needs more attention for safety, not less. So that's why we put it as such a high priority. Good questions, guys. I noticed there's a lot of other copies of your B8 and B9 transmission mount inserts. Why should I choose yours? Motherfucker. Well, thank you for asking. We have noticed that there's a lot of copies. I've seen our transmission inserts out there for like $8 to $12.
Dude, yeah.
I mean, not ours, but
horrendous
copies.
Yeah.
And I've seen people buying them. Fortunately for us, we still sell a ton of these. They cost us a lot more than what some of these places are selling them for. So I'm not even sure, what they're made out of or anything. But
aluminum with air quotes. I don't know. I'm not sure. What.
I mean, I would say this is not an expensive part, right? I think we sell this for $48 now. I mean, it's not cheap, but for what you get, which is a smoother, more crisp shifting transmission and a more controlled drive for $48, it's a freaking bargain. But the difference, I think, there's a couple things that I think buyer beware customers should keep in mind is one, obviously ours are made from billet aluminum, precisely CNC machined.
$80. You're thinking the
I'm thinking the DSG one. Sorry. Yeah, so these are $86. These are the $48 ones. So precisely machined from 6061 aluminum. Not like a lot of this stuff in China, they just cast it from like junk metal. I've seen these break. It shouldn't, like our B8
We haven't
B9
seen
ones have
we haven't seen ours break.
never
Yeah.
break. I've seen some of the copy ones which were ended up being cast. I've seen those break. And then we do a really nice hard anodized finish. But the biggest difference is we've engineered the shape and dimensions of the part that inserts very precisely, to give the amount of control to the drivetrain that you're going to want and that we've determined to be best, without causing any additional NVH or other types of issues. And we have made revisions to these over the years. So I know for a fact that some of the copies out there are of our older designs. We even joked once about sometimes we'll get like weird companies buying stuff off our website, and we know they're gonna knock it off. So we just like just stretching it 10% and making one and shipping it to them, and then they would just copy it. I'm pretty sure CTS copied this a lot of our products, but especially these right off the bat. But those are older designs. They're not necessarily engineering the product. They're not intimately familiar with how it functions. It's not a super complicated product. It's actually really simple, right? Like this aluminum goes in the hole and fills removes the air. But we do tweak these, down to a thousandth of an inch, and it does make a difference. So the other thing I would say, I would appeal to your sensibilities is that we innovated this product. We have continued to innovate other awesome products that make Volkswagens and Audis more fun to drive and safer. And we will continue to do that. But, when you buy this for $86, we make money on it. We pay our employees with part of it. We pay the rent and the electricity. And then there's some money left over that we apply towards the new products, the new generation. We have a more complete product line in B9 than anybody. We made money and we reinvested it to make more products. So if you guys want to continue to support the companies that innovate, that help move this market forward, we're not perfect. Some people out there hate us. But I don't know what to say. We're here every day. We can work, and we love these cars. We love what we do, and we're really trying to make the Volkswagen Audi driving experience better, more fun, and a better experience for you guys when you buy these products. So, if that means something to you, spend money with us, and we will continue to invest it and do the things that you guys love. I don't know if like ABC, Alibaba companies going to do anything for you in the future other than just take your money.
We've run into this, at trade shows. You're walking by a booth, and we've literally seen a shelf full of our inserts.
Well, copies, yeah,
very thinly veiled replicas.
Our inserts with someone else's logo on.
Literally, and you talk to them, they have no idea what it's for. You can't ask any questions of the product. They have zero, experience. They have nothing to give to the market other than just understanding those that developed them.
Yeah. The one thing I'll say is, this unfortunate thing is that saying, what's that? This the best form of flattery is imitation or whatever.
Flattery, sure.
But like when we release a product and it's really successful, that's when we see the copycats, right? So for us, we at least know that we've done something right,
right?
Because they don't tend to copy the things that we sell like 10 a year of, but we're selling like 5,000-10,000 of these a year. Then everyone rushes in and they want a piece of it. So for us, it's also a confirmation that we know we did something well. It's just not necessarily a good confirmation for you to risk, even $12 on something like that. But some people will, and it's a free country, right?
Yep.
EQT Turbo off-the-shelf tuning for GTI Golf R. Yes, we have EQT Turbo in the Hizzle, and so that will be happening this year.
Yep,
it's on the schedule. It's coming. TTE 700 stock block tune for RS3 TTRS. I suppose. I mean, our RS3 has a built motor, right?
Yeah, we're going to be doing a built motor tune as well, and that's
Yeah.
that's a simple enough affair.
But we can
to
keep
work in a stock consideration.
Yeah, because we know what the
That's already-
torque limit is.
Yeah, that's already in the plans.
Yeah. So yeah, we will be doing that. Yes. Should I upgrade my supercharger intercooler cores and replacing them, or go with the new revision OEM? I mean, I think it's a good idea to replace them if we're talking B8 3.0T.
Yeah,
They are failing. They do leak, and they do fill your engine with coolant. I can't, I think we have some upgrades that we're going to test, but I can't argue with new OEM ones.
Right.
So I would do that at the minimum, and we will continue to make recommendations based on our experiences. I'm skeptical that anything's an upgrade as far as
It's so
better
space
thermal
consuming.
management. Yeah, I mean, maybe it could be improved by 1 or 2% or something like that. I mean, it would have to be a really small amount. It's not like the factory ones are like bad or anything. The factory ones are actually freaking amazing.
For the space, yeah,
Yeah.
that's the whole thing. Is
They're
that you're
super
working with like
efficient.
a 2.5 inch square
Mhm.
cooler area.
Yeah.
So they're packaged very well for what they are.
We want a full E85 dual pulley S4 tune. When do we want it? Now.
Okay,
Well, I think that he answered his own question.
there you go.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I mean, it's right now we're limited by like 3 different things on that platform that'll let you run a full E85 setup.
Yeah.
There's your injectors, you've got 1 injector per cylinder. It's a high pressure injector. Those are pretty much maxed out. Your high pressure fuel pump is pretty much maxed out, and your low pressure pump is maxed out. And that's at the E40 levels we're at now. So to go fully 85 comfortably and have some headroom for any kind of outside consideration, reduction in flow or more fuel demand,
Yeah.
you need to have all 3 of those things upgraded or some other workaround in place with supplemental injection, more fuel pumps. It's not just hey, why aren't you doing a calibration for that? I've run fully 85 on my car a lot, but it's not a calibration of headroom that we can feel we can release that.
I think the biggest benefit is you don't have to worry about what percentage you have. You just fill up your tank. But even the power
You
gains.
still need to, well, yeah, I mean, unless you've got a full flex fuel setup, you still need to monitor
Sure,
what
but
your ratios are. But the power gains, they're really
it's minimal
it's
compared
really
to
minimal.
E40.
Yeah, most of your gains are already seen in E40.
Yeah, it is. It's most of the way there. So
for the bang for the buck, it's a tough jump.
yeah. I mean, it's something we want to do.
Yeah.
But it's going to require auxiliary.
Yeah, but it just comes with the understanding that you're gonna have to upgrade, a lot. And if it's auxiliary fueling, that's a big upgrade. That's a big amount of installation,
It
a
is.
big amount of hardware, a big amount of problems that can
For a pretty small gain. Yeah.
So yes, supplemental fueling is going to be nice when it's done, ironed out, and supported, but it's not going to be cheap or easy compared to what you've done already.
Yeah. I just got a set of rear trailing arms from you all for my Mark 7 GTI. Will the car need to be aligned after install? Yes.
Yep. Anytime you disconnect anything that connects your wheels to the car and back on, you're going to want to verify that you've got it aligned.
Yeah. Anytime you remove any suspension component, except maybe a sway bar, but like to Nate's point,
Well, yeah, that doesn't locate the wheels.
if it locates which way the tires point or it supports those parts, then yes, you will need an alignment. The other thing is the factory trailing arm bushings are super squishy. And so even when your car is sitting static, your wheel is in a different spot than it will be when you install our rear trailing arms. Our rear trailing arms will rigidly and precisely locate the wheel in its ideal center spot without any squishing or movements. So just inherently going from squishy to rigid is going to require a totally new alignment to put the wheel back where it needs to be. But yeah, every time you disconnect a tie rod, a control arm, anything like that, or certainly replace it, then you're gonna need an alignment. If you're local, come down. We do performance alignments. We do the best ones for Audis and VWs here in town. But so about that Super Duper Charger dropping this month, inquiring minds want to know. We are just simply waiting for the Super Duper units to show up here. So as soon as they're here, we will release. Do we have a current What's the?
I'm not sure what the big tanks right now.
We talk about it every Tuesday.
I think it was.
You want to look real quick? Yeah, we can give
Let's see if there's any updates.
because we have the shipment information, all that. What ignition setup did you guys use on your 12-valve VR6 B5?
Ours.
Good question. So we initially, did we run the waste spark? No, we always had.
No, I don't
So-
think
so
we ever tried to do that.
I think we still sell
We did
some
on a
of
custom,
these.
and it was
Yeah. We used to sell our IGN1 ignition coils. They've since been copied by AEM and SD.
SD and
But we brought that coil to market. So we're getting copied left and right. I guess that's what happens when you bring out good shit. And so we had 6 coils mounted to the firewall, and then we had individual spark plug wires. So basically, you take a factory VR6 spark plug set, and you cut the ends off, and you crimp on the GM style high tension coil connectors, and those were mounted to the firewall, and we ran coil per cylinder. Okay, cool. So Super Duper Charger current internal date is July 15th.
hard parts are arriving, so then we've got to do.
That's
Our release date. Okay, that's expected.
So it's still a ways out. That's
because we've got to get
That's
hard
like
parts
2
in.
months of
We have to then,
TikToks.
we have to QC everything and then
Right.
package, validate, and all of that.
Yeah.
All that good stuff because we never can assume that.
Right.
You know,
so
especially first run of
mid-July is what we're looking at. So that's what we ran. I strongly recommend doing that. Waste spark works, but it basically cuts your dwell charge time in half. But you could do a waste spark setup. I'd say to 500 horsepower, 600 horsepower. It's probably
And waste spark just means you've got 2 cylinders that are tied to a single tower, and you're firing one on the exhaust stroke, one on the compression stroke.
Yeah. So one of the sparks goes into nothing. The other lights a combustion. But
It's very common. A lot of OEM setups. The VR6, the 12-valve VR6, the factory is a waste spark style ignition.
But you have a certain amount of time to charge the coil. When you have a waste spark, that's cut in half because you only have 3 coils instead of 6. So the 3 coils have to charge twice as much to fire the same amount of spark energy. So you just run out of time, basically. And time is what you need to charge the coil. The longer it charges, the more voltage and current that builds up inside the coil, and then it ionizes when your ECU releases the driver. So, but that was a good setup. I don't know if you have any more specific questions than that, but I see a lot of people running these SD waste spark coils. I think that's fine for a stock setup, but I also see a lot of people running FSI coils and the 4-wire VW Audi coils. I'm surprised people make as much power with them as they do.
Yeah, the newer coils have gotten better, but we were running the coils we were running were.
It was insane.
It was an insane amount of spark energy for what we had. So we were kind of spoiled on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, there was never a lack of spark.
The thing would
energy.
throw probably a half-inch gap if we wanted it to.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. No, there were times it would arc across the engine.
But yeah, if you had any kind of compromise in a plug wire or a plug wire that wasn't up to it, you'd just start getting spark out the side of the.
And it would destroy laptops nearby.
Yeah, this is at 40 psi. We'd had dynos shut down. We'd had all kinds of fun stuff.
Like the power district would call us and say, "What are you doing over there?" I'd get tumors.
Yeah,
this is great. A lot of questions. I want to purchase your Dynamic Plus camera mounts, but not sure what to tell my alignment guys. Can I still use an auto repair chain store, or would I need to find a performance specialist? You don't need to. You just need to tell them that your mounts now have a bunch more camber. The camber is not really adjustable in those cars, anyways. So you can tell them if they want to use the subframe trick, or if you have slotted
bolts. They should center it right, or
they should center
whatever you've got to adjust. But
make it so that you have the same amount of camber on each side. But other than that, it's just going to be what it is. So they're going to be able to adjust toe and and the centering your steering wheel. But
it's not going to.
Camera's not really adjustable.
Yeah, we're talking about depending on which combo you're going with, a couple degrees at most. Yeah. So it's not it's that wildly out of whack. Just let your alignment shop know if they're competent. they should be able to handle
Yeah,
it.
I think you could go to Pet Boys and just tell them, hey, I'm gonna have a lot more camber than the factory spec. Deal with it.
Yep.
The good news is they won't be able to fuck with your camber. You know, if you had adjustable plates, they'd
In fact,
zeroed out.
Most, you know, depending on the platform, even if you just lower your car, you're going to be out of spec on camber anyway. And you know,
Yeah.
if it was a huge problem to align a car with a little bit more camber.
Now, if you want a
It'd be a tough
performance alignment like we do here, then yes, you want to go to a performance specialist. But if you go to one of those places, you know, most of the time they're just going to put your car to whatever's in the machine.
Yeah.
And if it can't get there, then they'll come back with a chart and you'll have red camber numbers and they'll just be like, here, your camber's out of spec. Yep. And then you'd say, cool. And you'd give them a high five and leave.
It's exactly what I want.
Because you have camber mounts. All right. Oh, geez. All right. Some various B9 topics. What has been different about tuning MG1 ECU versus the older S4 ECUs? More resolution adjustability?
So it depends which S4 you're talking about. The older S4, so B8, was a completely different engine management. So that was Continental CMOS versus now we're on Bosch MG1. The Bosch MG1 stuff is a evolution of their what was basically Motronic MED 17, and it shares a lot of that structure and a lot of that philosophy. It's kind of just another layer of additional, strategies and control systems and complexity on top of that. So,
I mean, there's more maps, right? I mean, a lot of it has.
Yeah, and
they just keep adding more and more.
They keep adding. This goes all the way back through like ME7, and then there's MED 9, which is an evolution of ME7. So it's got all the ME7.
So what do you like? I mean, I can throw out some generic numbers, but like the number of maps in ME7 versus.
Oh yeah. So ME7, I mean, you're looking at around probably on the later ones, 4,000 to 5,000 maps. I think just calibration points.
Different maps that have various control functions.
Yeah,
and so like
either switches, maps, tables.
And so the ECU, the base tuning in the ECU is represented in these different maps.
Everything you can tweak within the calibration to affect something in the motor, the way everything from how it talks to other modules to how it what your foot does, what it does when you put your foot down, is defined within those 3,000 to 5,000.
Yeah, and these are like tables of hexadecimal code.
I'm actually
not
pulling up the
names.
B9 right now.
So from 4,000 to.
I'm trying to find one where I just have. Yeah, so everything here has our RAM variables as well. So we're at 100,400 variables that we're dealing.
So that tells you the level of complexity.
Maybe cut that in half. We're talking 50 to 60,000 maps.
So 10 times more control and functionality inside the ECU than a 10-year-old ECU.
Yep. So yeah, it's I think probably we'd see 30 to 40% increase in maps typically generation over generation. So,
and a lot of that's for admins and compliance.
It's a lot of different things. The Bosch world sort of just kind of updates and retains all the old stuff too. So there's all these functions that just do all the same thing they used to do back through like year 2001 1.8T Audi. There's still some variables that are still calculated because some function somewhere uses that variable. So it's all these layers that get added, and you have to know how it all interacts. And it's.
But imagine if you
it's cumbersome.
if you finally find one map that say controls or affects a change to the level of boost, and you raise the boost, but if that map is connected to 700 other maps, you just now changed one thing, but then there's additional layers. And so a lot of the time that we spend doing calibration is making a change, finding out how that actually affects the way the engine runs, and then chasing down all those other connections inside the ECU. I mean, I couldn't do it. Nate, has patience of, Gandhi or someone like that. But yeah, it's that's what takes time.
Stubborn mindset. To
just
really
never being defeated by the complexity and how impossible it would be to figure out, and you just stick to it and you keep changing and you find the better the logging tools we have. When you can log, then you can see like how those maps are all connected.
Right. And for all of these ECUs, we have far more logging than what
Yeah.
you get off the shelf with them. We have
Well, you build your own tools.
yeah, we've built our own
yeah.
tools over the years, and this is both on the laptop to be able to communicate to the actual communication structures within the ECU. We rewrite so that we can get the data out as much and as quickly as possible. For all of our platforms, from Bosch to CMOS to even TCU side, we've done a number of firmware rewrites on that too to do the same.
And the overriding issue with factory ECU tuning that creates the difficulty and complexity is that, when at Audi or at Bosch, they have definitions. So all these random numbers and these 50,000 maps with just random numbers in them, all of a sudden they lay those definitions over that, and they can see exactly what it is. It's a totally logical user interface. But we don't have that. Nobody has that outside of Audi and Bosch. So we're flying blind. This is the difference between a standalone ECU, even the most complex ones, might have 100 or 200 maps. And they're all labeled. There's tabs for them all. You can see how they interact with each other. You can put your mouse over the field and it gives you tips on what to do. It's user friendly. It's a graphical user interface designed to allow the end user to be successful. But when we're doing factory calibrations, it's the opposite. There's nothing. So it's you're completely blind with your arms tied behind your back, in a underwater.
Yeah, so it's a lot of work to build up the information needed to just get started. And it's only been more and more of that needed as the platforms get more and more complex. Because
every new ECU, every new
ECU, every new
platform,
generation, and then it's there's so many intertwined, rationale checks and plausibility tests and everything that are always running in the background. And then the faster and faster these processes are getting that are in these ECUs, the more of that stuff is going on in the background that you've got to keep an eye on, or that is keeping an eye on you, basically.
So a lot of it is like, okay, the ECU's asking for the right amount of boost, the car's giving the right amount of power, you drive it down the street, it feels great. Well, what happens when the coolant temps hit 220? What happens when the air temps hit 95? What happens when all that's been going on for 20 minutes? And that's why the testing and the validation of these things is so important, because we don't always know which map is just waiting to kick in that hasn't been activated yet. And good examples, we were at the track last week, and the car got to a certain temp and it did a limp mode. Well, it's because some map got activated that we hadn't activated yet. So we were able to fix it at the track.
It pushed some of those ability numbers out of where the safety monitors wanted them. And the ECU, there's a whole process of functions in the ECU that is just sitting there watching all the inputs and outputs and doing all these tests against them. And you have to, if you're not just hacking at it, turning it all off, which we don't do,
right.
You need to make sure that all your numbers coming in and out are aligned and calculated the way that the ECU is expecting.
These are basically
fundamental,
These are basically ECU nannies that are making sure that the kids aren't going to hurt themselves. And like I said earlier, some of the tuners are like, you don't need a babysitter. You can just go off on your own. It'll be fine. And,
and I mean, these are cars, you're talking with like lane assist, with radar cruise, with the drive-by-wire, with all
drive-by-wire is terrifying.
Yeah. So we don't want to just go in and just turn off all these things that are, fundamental safety functions either of these ECUs.
Someone follow up is B9 ZF8 TCU tuning. What are we changing? What are the downsides? Any reliability concerns?
Sure. Primarily, it's going to be more of a, we have to change it to allow for the higher output in the engine, because again, we're not falsifying the numbers coming out of the ECU. So, we need to rescale what the TCU can handle and can expect from the ECU. So that's one of the good litmus that's been around for a while, is if you don't need a stage 1 TCU tune on a lot of the modern cars, then they're fudging something in the ECU,
or you're leaving something.
Or you've got a bunch of power laying on the table.
Because the TCU is part of controlling the amount of power the car can produce.
Right.
The TCU plays a role in that. So for the B9, we will be releasing a TC tune, and it's required to get the most out of the tune. Although we could release a non TCU tune that will make max power.
Yeah, you'll hit a torque plateau that the TCU is not going to allow anymore. So there's that.
There are lots of reliability concerns for us when we're doing the engineering. There are zero for you as the customer because
we wouldn't expect a shorter life on any of these.
We've gone through that process.
Yeah, and these TCUs, the transmissions, they've been pretty tried and tested. That ZF8, platform has had a lot more power put through it than what we're dealing with here. So, there's going to be some changes to shift speeds and shift points and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and launch control, and just making making the TCU more sporty. It's like when on the B9 when you're in drive versus sport mode, you immediately notice upshifting, downshifting changes.
Right.
Of course, the car gets louder, but that has nothing to do with that. But and so we can continue to augment that and make it sportier, and that's what we did. And that's what we do for the DSGs as well.
Yep.
But ultimately, from a performance standpoint, the goal is to make the engine make more power and also faster, more aggressive shifting. That's also faster. The factory, especially in drive mode, they're simulated like slow automatic.
They're very blended shifts.
And you're designed not to even feel anything. In sport mode, they get more aggressive, which is nice. But no reliability concerns. No. These are tough setups, and like Nate said, the ZF8's been rock.
Yeah, and the track testing we've been doing here has been in a SQ5. So
it's kind of a worst case.
It's very much so a worst case scenario for just the weight of the vehicle,
and that much more humiliating when you get past.
It really is,
especially. Okay. We don't have any new updates on B9 A4 other than we're still working on it. It's been deprioritized. Our goal is to get the S4 tune out. There's definitely a big market and a big pent up demand for that. If you're local, can we do anything? Or
if
you're local and you want to come to our service department,
I don't have a lot of updates to give.
We could do a beta,
but we have our our files that we've had for a few years now.
All right, let's jump to a few other ones. I already did the VR6 one. When will your B9 SQ5 suspension upgrades be available? Intake. We are releasing lots of B9 SQ5 products. Nick, I thought you already knew that, but good question. We have an intake coming probably this summer. And you'll see more of our suspension stuff coming out this summer as well. We are talking about doing static springs for the cars. I don't know how many there are, but apparently there are some. Sway bars. We will release the rear first, and then we will do a front. We already our lowering links. We have lowering links out now. If you'd like to. Oh, they're not
for C7.
Oh, that's for C7. Okay, we'll be releasing lowering links that trick your air ride controller into thinking the car is higher than it is. We have a gorgeous fully built strut brace coming soon. I think we will be releasing those in the next month or two. Oh, in 2 weeks. Okay, yeah.
Wheels.
Yeah, ZTF wheels, 10-inch.
What?
21. Yeah. So you can thank Nick Mercadante. We have lots of SQ5 coming. So anything else? I feel like there's something.
We got some tuning coming.
Well, the tuning, obviously. Intercooler.
Inserts, subframe inserts. For the
inserts. Rear inserts. They're different. So
the trains street density mount both work.
Those are working out. So
as do our carbon fiber.
Oh, we have fiber covers for that, which are really, really cool. All right, one more.
Yeah.
God, we've answered that one before. No. Will there be increased vibration for the transmission mount and lower RPM or reversing? I don't know which one.
I think that was B8, B9.
Not the insert, the stage 2 mount does
there's another rubber mount that you can bump
Yeah.
into.
which controls kind of more the up and down movements on the transmission.
This insert, and the way we've designed it takes up all the slack primarily on like downshift actions. So where you're actually like engine braking against the your gears. That's where this really comes into play. So it's the shifting, the quick shifting. Your transmission will bounce a little bit in on mounts.
Yeah.
This will really help reduce that.
The stage 2.
But yet low speed driving, backing up, driving around town, you're not even going to notice that any harshness.
Not with the insert.
No.
But with the stage 2 mounts,
Rubber mount, you get a little.
you will notice some at idle, like Nate said, in reverse, and then also when you're kind of in drive but in neutral, and the DSG
You just got a little
sitting
more
there.
connecting your motor.
But it's not bad. It's not. I wouldn't call it. It's noticeable, but I wouldn't call it beyond the average person's capacity for some extra NVH. So that's really easy to take in and out too. It's cheap, so you could
two nuts.
You could always throw it in and see what you think. You could always take it out, put it back in later. So, all right, thanks guys. Thanks for joining us. I think we're out of time, and we will see you next week. So as always, great to have you, and cheers.